Hey folks, Matt from artoftheimage.com. Following up on my last video on the Nikon D850 and the 46 megapixel sensor, and we were discussing that and the resolution and how much resolution it should be and what I hope it might be. In other words, 80 to 100. Is it possible we still could get a higher resolution sensor? We had some very interesting comments that got me thinking further on sensors and on sensor resolution and on where resolution should be. Well, let me read James' comment here. James wrote in and said, yes, he with the most megapixels wins. And actually, that's the bit of his reply right at the beginning that got me thinking this, because it makes you think about megapixel wars. And we thought that was over. And some people think we're far past the need for any more megapixels. Other people think we could always have more. And I think it kind of depends on the application. Let me finish James' comment. $55.99 would be a good starting point. Yes, I would buy such in a heartbeat, even if I had to take a second mortgage out on the house. I deal in large format, and while 42 megapixels has been okay, 80 megapixels would be better. Hasselblad wants too much money for their top end. However, if I had that much equity in my home, I would do that as well. So James is obviously in commercial and large format, and he needs or wants, or both, for his needs, for his shooting requirements, more megapixels is good for him. So his response to me suggesting that we get 80 to 100 megapixel sensor in the D850 is positive. He likes that idea. Contrary to that, we have YouTube user Dodge Raider Laker wrote in another comment and said, when Canon released the 5DS and the 5DSR, that's their high megapixel, 50 megapixel DSLRs, it was stated that megapixels didn't matter, and now that other companies are ramping up in the megapixel race, now they matter again. And you know what? That is true. And I've gone back and forth on this issue. And in the end, what it relates to for me is my needs, and sometimes just not having used the higher megapixel camera. For instance, prior to shooting the D800 and the D810, I had thought that I had no use for 36 megapixels. The 24 megapixel full frame sensors in the D610, in the D750, they're beautiful. Even the ones in the APS-C bodies, in the 7200 and the 7100, very good sensors, very good detail. I didn't really see the need for more. Fast forward to me getting, I guess it was specifically the 810 when I had that in. I have been thinking that I didn't need 36. All of a sudden I had 36. I had 36 really good quality, good high ISO, good like everything about it was good. There was no negatives other than perhaps storage size. So that's more on the computer side and on the card side. But even that wasn't an issue because cards have dropped and computer storage pricing has dropped. And I had these super rich, what I would call a power file that I was able to crop. If I downsized them, they became even cleaner at high ISO. There didn't seem to be anything negative about it at all. And the beauty of working on these files was really incredible. And so it was a bit of an eye opener to me. I was like, wow, I can see why a lot of people fall in love with these higher resolution files. It's a lot more detail, and it's a really, till you've used it. Again, when I had only been shooting the 24, I thought that's all I would ever need, and I wasn't really interested in shooting a higher resolution. Shot the D810. Now I really, really like the files that come out of the D810. Does it mean that I always want to shoot the D810 for everything? No. And does it mean that I think most people need D810 or 36 megapixel or 42 megapixel files? No. I think for the average person, 24 megapixels is plenty, whether we're talking about APS-C or DX bodies, whether we're talking about full frame. That really, and even pros can do a good job, and probably most pros don't need more than that either. Even some that may think they do, they could, if they know what they're doing, they can do a darn good job with 24. So it's kind of an interesting thought. Commercial and probably some really high-end photographers. For instance, I know some people that shoot really high-end cars, commercial work. They're going to want, the Hasselblads, the large format. They may very well like a high megapixel body in an 80 to 100. They may be using a 5DS, 5DSR and really enjoying the extra resolution. But most other people are going to be happy with 24 or even 30, such as the 5D4. The other thing is that even though we have the ability to get more megapixels, going towards what I've just been saying is horses for courses. Look at cars. Car manufacturers typically will build race cars, and it's more of a marketing thing. They like to have the fastest car to the bragging rights, and then they allude to it in their commercials. Our Formula One or our such and such a car is race-bred technology, and then they show you, Honda might show you a Honda Civic, and they'll tell you, well, some of that's come down into this, and it's bragado, it's bragging rights, it's marketing stuff. And that's where I think the high megapixel bodies come in, especially with Nikon when I'm saying 80 to 100 megapixel body. There are people that can use that. There are people such as James that would love that. The average person's not going to need it, but I think it looks good on them for the same reasons that the car company would build a Formula One race car that nobody's ever going to drive on the road, to have those flagships that they can talk about, brag about, get the bragging rights for, that are pushing the edges of technology, so that can filter down into the lower levels, and it also helps sell the cameras that most people are going to buy, not the D850, right? So a little bit of clarification there on megapixels, the megapixel war, why I think it's still, pertinent. I think is important for Nikon and Canon, for all the manufacturers, at least Nikon and Canon, because traditionally they're the big guys, to have these high megapixel bodies. It's like the Formula One cars. They're building the best. Is it going to be the camera that most people want? No. But it gives them bragging rights. It's good for marketing. It's good for them pushing the R&D and pushing the technological aspects of things, so that can trickle down into the main cameras that most people buy, such as maybe the D610, D7500, D7200 for Canon. That'd be like the 80D, the 7D, the 6D. Because the more tech you're pushing in your flagship, and the more bragging rights you're getting there, and the more pride you get in that, consumer loyalty is affected, sales are affected, everything's good that way. And that's why I'm thinking a flagship Nikon at really high megapixels, I think it's a good thing. Does everybody need it? No. It's probably going to be a minority that will buy it, but you price it at a premium, and those that need it will buy it. The rest of us are going to be happy because we shoot Nikon, and hey, Nikon's got that. Same as if you shoot Canon. We shoot Canon, and hey, right now, Canon's got one of the highest megapixel bodies, 50 megapixel 5DS, 5DSR, bragging rights, right? So, good comments, James. Good comments, Dodge Raider. That's my thoughts on high megapixels, why they are still necessary, who still needs them. What do you guys think? Do you agree with me? Do you agree with my thinking here on why we still should have companies, making those flagships? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments below. Let's discuss it a little. If you disagree, let me know why. If you agree and you've got other points I've missed or something to add, by all means, leave it in the comments below. Let's discuss it. It's interesting. I still am holding out for, if not the D850, then another body, but I'm holding out for, I'd really like to see Nikon come out with an 80 to 100 megapixel full frame sensor. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Stay tuned. We'll be back soon here at artoftheimage.com.